Welcome to JDM Imported. Welcome to JDM Imported, the podcast that covers the startup of my company, grassroots import dealership from my garage to the goal of being in a commercial space within 18 months. My name's Dante Prinzo, owner, operator of Elusive Auto Company. This was a company that I started officially end of 2016 and operated out of my garage right now. This is a one-man band from a passionate car lover who thinks it's never too late to get started. I'll be documenting we'll call it restoration, not really builds, but as I get these cars in, they all need some love. So, the specific work that's been done on them, what to look for, some pitfalls with different models, pretty much everything that I have learned to pass on regarding these Japanese vehicles. And then also, tracking how the business is going, kind of the day-to-day of being a one-man shop. It's going to be a fun ride. I hope you stay. So, Elusive Auto Company, like I said, started end of 2016. And this was something I thought about for quite some time, probably too long. For those of you listening, the one or two out there right now that are thinking about trying something. So I have thoughts on that. If you want to try something, you probably shouldn't. If you want to do something, if you feel it's in you, it's burning, you got to do it. It's never too, I'm 35. I have 2 kids, a house, a wife, and, it's a lot to juggle. And that was, I guess you could say, my excuse, but I decided I was going to do it. So I'm still working my 9 to 5, need to pay the bills and be responsible here. But Elusive Auto Company is my, for lack of better, my 9 o'clock to 1 in the morning or 2 in the morning every weeknight. I treat this just like a second job, and I can't turn it off because I love it. And I feel that, my experience in the past, professional experience, has really kind of curated the skill sets to make this happen. So, a quick story about the company and kind of how I got rolling here. So, 2015, wanted to get a fun car, right? Always had a fun car, track cars. And when I say track cars, legitimate builds that I've done. Full cage, fuel cells, all that good stuff. So. And that was my thing. I loved it, but those of you, especially, I'm from the Northeast. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina now, but those of you up in those, the Rust Belt in those areas know that, yeah, it's cool to have your fun car, but you always need that winter beater. I have gone through, I kept track. I went through 6 B13 Sentras, 1 SCR in the mix, which, by the way, I wish I still had because now they're worth money, but that was my winter beater of choice. So, fun car in the summer months, and then I'm driving just basically a heap in the winter with some snow tires. Usually bald, but, strong e-brake because that's what's most important in the snow. And I've been in it, I've been in the culture and specifically in imports since before I was of driving age. So, over 20 years. And we moved down here about 6 years ago, my family and I, from Pittsburgh to Charlotte. And, I sold the toys, went down to a daily driver. Still fun, E60 M5. I know I'm a Japanese guy, but come on, for a daily that fits 2 child seats in a V10. I work from home, so the mileage doesn't bother me. So it's been one of my favorite cars. I have that, and I was just itching on something to work on, something to build, something to mess around with a little bit. So 2015, I started the journey of learning how to import. So I'm a hands-on type. I wanted to do it myself. So the research started, folders and folders, binders later of, internet research, getting on the Border Patrol website, just trying to get familiar with the terminology so I'm not totally a fish out of water there. And then it became the feat of finding someone reputable to find the car. So I interviewed five different companies. And that was five that I actually spoke with. I emailed countless, but if the email came back and didn't really address any of my questions, there's translation issues, then I was just like, you know what, this isn't going to work. And the main thing is, in the back of my head, I'm like, yeah, I want to get a fun car for me, but I'm like, I might be able to turn this into a business. So, I want to kind of start laying the foundation and the relationships, because really that's what sets it apart. I mean, anyone can hop online, email an exporter and find a way to get a car. You can hire enough people, brokers, exporters, importers, to help you out. They'll nickel and dime you to death, but you can find enough people to get it done. I mean, I don't hold the cards. There's no magic elixir to get the car. I mean, do some research and you can get one yourself. The reason you use a company is because they'll be able to get it more seamlessly, risk mitigation, and quite frankly, it costs way more if you're doing one than if you're a company doing many. So, I spoke with, like I said, with a good amount of companies. Wasn't really feeling it. Finally found one who was actually a referral through another, because, I guess they got a sense of who I was and that I wasn't just someone looking for whatever, and I was a little more particular. So had a conversation with this guy. This was early 2015. And our first call was about 2 hours, no joke. And this was it would have been his Thursday afternoon, which I guess was a light day, and here's me on the phone at midnight, trying to do this networking thing. So we had a good rapport, and he went over the process of getting, not just translating auction reports, but actually going in there and getting some real details on the history if they can be, and, sees the car in person. So, we're talking, I get 20 to 30 pics, none of which are good pics, nothing but dents, dings, undercarriage, corrosion, leaks. Those are what we focus on, because I don't really need any glamour shots to make a decision. If the hood looks good, it looks good. I don't need to see it shiny. So, and he got that about me. So we started working together. The process took, to find a car, about 2 months. I bid on a lot. I lost on a lot because there's a lot of competition. I found that you need to be really flexible in your budget and just really go for the win rather than try to get deals. Because if you try to get a deal, you'll never win. You'll never have a car. So we finally get one. It was a SOAR. It was a 90 SOAR. It was an original manual transmission car. The 1G, predecessor to the 1J. Twin turbo motor, so it was bone stock, but it was it was really high auction grade. It was a nice car. So started the import process, and that's where things really got crazy. Excuse me, because those of you who have even done any research will know that it's there's not a lot of help out there. There's some general information, and this is especially in 2015, but there wasn't kind of a definitive guide. And if there was, it always had holes. There was always something missed. So the first time around, I hired a broker to do the paperwork, because, I hear that if you do the ISF form incorrectly or you don't submit it, it's $5,000 fine. And, if it shows up to Border Patrol stateside here and it doesn't have documents, they can fine more, they can hold it, they can, do whatever to it. So all of which is usually blown out of proportion, but being a newbie, that scared me. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to hire people. So, hire an exporter, hire someone to do the paperwork, a broker, $600 and some later, paying to them, plus, shipping, auction fees, it adds up. So I had this car with the intent to drive it for a little bit and sell it, and see if this could be something that is a service where there's a need. And obviously, if I can make a profit. So that first car I made, I drove it for, a year. I ended up having to put a clutch in it. It was started and actually driven around the parking lot, but unless you were in boost in third gear, you would never know. So I get it on the highway and it just starts slipping. Quickly I had to do the clutch, and then of course finding the right clutch for it from Australia took a while. So, I put the work into it, drove it for a year, sell it for actually a little bit of a loss if you had in parts. So at this point, I'm not thinking this is a booming business, but it's a hurdle. And I think of it as, this was my first one. I paid everyone for everything and didn't really do it myself. So the next one, I'm going to roll the dice. I'm going to do all the paperwork myself now that I have the benchmark and the baseline of how to do so. And that's what I did, So I got a continuous bond, so I didn't have to pay for each car because that'll nickel and dime you. And got all the forms and did all the exporting and importing myself. Picked it up myself, and this was a Nissan Laurel. And it went really well. So it was a lot smoother. I mean, I'm gonna go, in later episodes, I'm gonna go into some really specific details on the actual process. I'm just kind of giving a bird's eye view. So yeah, the second car went fairly smooth. Again, there's not a lot of help for people that don't do high volume. If you have a question and you call a port, they're irritated that you're basically asking them a question. So little to no help there. No one told me about arrival notices, delivery orders. These are things you don't really find much information on, especially then. So I kind of had to learn the hard way on some things, but as is life, learning a new skill, which this was. So, I got the next car, and that went well. I fixed it up, I sold it, made a profit, and that's when I decided, I'm gonna really make this into a business. I'm really gonna start turning things up, getting more than one car at a time. So I immediately got another car after that, and another, so I could actually have, not really a fleet, but somewhat of an inventory. And and then last year I decided that I was going to make it official, get a business name, for tax reasons and things like that. It just made sense, especially because in the state of North Carolina, if you sell more than 4 cars in a year, they can audit you for that. I don't know why. I'm sure people do that just from circumstances anyways. People that go through, a lot of beaters or work trucks or whatever it may be. But either way, it was a good reason for me to really make it official. And I'll tell you this, once I made it official, once I had a company name and a tax ID, it felt different. I was motivated before, but, now there's like ownership. There's ownership of not just telling people what you're doing and not just trying to create a buzz through, sidebars and, circumstance, but really, owning the name, owning the brand. And I'm seeing now, I don't have a lot of things to keep me busy with physical cars. Right now I have an FC RX-7 and I'm waiting for an FD, which, is a month out. It's on the boat right now. So, I'm not crazy busy with that, but I can fill up each night, working on social, because right now, my main goal is, my goal is always going to be to build fans more than customers. If I have low numbers on social media, I'd rather them be low and engaged than a ton that I paid for, or, people overseas. And I'm never going to ship a car to Denmark, where chances are low, or Australia. So, just trying to get the most wide net possible doesn't make sense. I want to focus on enthusiasts that are into the cars, that, have potential to either them themselves or know of someone to purchase. So yeah, that's the focus. The business is going to be, and the reason I want to track this is really to create transparency. There's a lot of importers, just like there's a lot of dealerships. In general, drive up and down your busiest highway in your town. You're going to pass a ton of dealerships, and there's a ton more that you'll never hear about. And the ones that stay afloat typically are the ones that offer a service and that have a following. And I see a little bit of a gap there. I think there's a market that I can hit just in tracking it through blog, tracking it through some vlogs. I'm going to put up some YouTube videos, which I've already started on here, and really track the process. You can see not just the glamour shots, with the dub drop, but the reality, the things that I see on each model that, are quirks and pitfalls to look out for, which models get corrosion where, what I had to do to get something to look nice in that glamour shot. You know what I mean? Really show the ins and outs of what goes on behind the scenes, because it's too easy these days to put up a facade, right? And that's personally or as a company. And I just don't want to do that, because like I said, I think to create fans, which is my goal, and people that truly believe in what I do and aren't just trying to get the best deal and don't really care about anything after they purchase the car. In order to get those fans, I think that you need to show a little more insight and offer something in return. So that's why, this podcast is going to cover, how-tos in depth of how to import a car. I mean, hey, if you want to use me, great. I offer an importing service, where I can do A to Z. You pick out the car you want and I bring it in, legal state title. It's all ready to go. You sign on the title like you would any used car. Yeah, I'd love to offer that, but you know what? Some people would rather do it themselves, maybe like I did 2 years ago. Maybe it's not about, saving money. They just want the experience. So, and I respect that. And I think there's too much vagueness as well as misconception out there about these cars and the process and how people bring them in and what's legal, what's not legal, all that good stuff. And I just think that someone needs to just kind of be that voice and maybe a one-stop, real-time tracking of how things are going and how, these types of cars work on the streets and how you get them here. Because, really, I just want to get more of these beautiful cars stateside. Whether it's through me or someone else, doesn't matter. I think if I help spread enough knowledge and develop a community, then things will work out for me. Not worried about that. So that being said, I'm going to wrap this up. I'm about 18 minutes into it, and for those of you that stayed along, I appreciate it. The next episode, I'm going to go over some details of the 1990 RX-7 FC Savannah. What I'm doing with that car. It should be ready for sale shortly. That was another one that, as most of these cars over 25 years, if it's original paint, it's usually trash. If it's not original paint and it was a while ago, it's still probably trash. And again, I'm not looking to sell the cheapest of the cheap cars. I'm looking to sell the cars that are ready to roll and you can pick up and be proud of. So that being said, I do paint work to most of my cars. The Skyline I had some clear coat peel on the roof, and I had it repainted, had the top of the car repainted. It looked beautiful, it was ready to roll. A couple other cars I had some paint work done, to bumpers and things like that were just chewed up, scuffed, and a lot of which of these cars, it's nothing major. It's usually the clear coat's bad. It still needs resprayed, but and same with this FC. It was repainted the factory black, and it was a poor repaint. It was, quite frankly, there was a lot of dust in it. I even found a few runs, and it was faded on top of that. So it's black. It needs to look good. It looks like it had a body kit on it before, riveted side skirts and things like that, but it must have got chewed up and they took it off. So got a new kit for it, front bumper, side skirts. And it should be looking sweet. I'm excited to see how that one turns out. So I'm going to finish up the body work. The deadline for that is, the next 7 to 10 days. Take it to paint, and then by then I should have the state title and be on the market. But anyways, the next episode we'll cover some of the details on, that car, how I got it, what I did to it, what I expect from it, and we'll keep things rolling. So to follow on any social media, it's Elusive Auto Co. No, I over enunciate like that. It's Elusive Auto Co. On all your major social media outlets, where you can get a little more of the behind the scenes action of this grassroots dealership, who I have a goal, a deadline to be in a commercial space in 18 months. So right now we're in my garage. We're going to keep things moving. Again, appreciate the time. We'll see you next time.